Hey everybody, welcome to Adobe Live. Today we have an incredible guest. Evan McNaught is with us, and he's going to be showing us some, what's it called? Wedding suite design. But in his full-time job, he is a freelancer for cartography and a drone pilot. So Evan, we're so excited that you're here with us today. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. And Emily, thanks so much for the intro. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, you might be wondering, why is a cartographer slash drone pilot teaching wedding design, right? Those in the chat, you're like, wait, why did I tune into this stream? I thought we were getting like someone who knows what they're talking about. Well, hold on. Okay, so I'm getting married in a month, and I am very, very excited. Things have been a little hectic at home trying to get all the planning finished. And I told my fiance, I said, I have this Adobe live stream coming up. What should I teach on Illustrator? And her first instinct, she just said, oh, you should teach people how to make wedding invitations. So that is why a cartographer is on here teaching about wedding design. And we are going to merge the two things together and we're just going to have a good time. I'm kind of new to the wedding design thing. So we're going to be figuring it out together, but I've learned a little bit over the last 6 months of planning. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, you're an expert. And everyone, if you are joining here on Behance and YouTube, we're so excited that you're here. Feel free to drop in chat where you're streaming from. And then if you have any questions or comments, feel free to add those in and we will incorporate them in the stream.
Awesome. So I've got my website up right now, and I just wanted to pull this up so that everyone feel free to go check out any of my work. And you can see that, oh, wait, this guy's actually a cartographer, and there's no wedding design on here whatsoever. But I do want to preface it by saying that graphic design and cartography are very, very closely related. Visual information has a lot to do with cartography, and we use maps every single day in our daily lives, whether you're going to the grocery store or reading a transit map, trying to figure out what train to get. All of that is graphic design. So they can kind of speak well to each other. So with that said, that's my intro. Let's get into it.
Chat is saying congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I've got Illustrator open here, and I did a little prep work so that those joining us on the chat and on YouTube didn't have to watch me sit here and create artboards all day. So what I've got going on is I've got, let's see, 7 artboards here. And I'll zoom in a little bit so that we can see. And we've got this client fiance request. Design a suite of wedding stationery for our New Hampshire mountain resort wedding. I'm not getting married in New Hampshire, but it's one of my favorite places. So I was like, oh, this would be fun. I wish I was getting married in New Hampshire. She wants it to be clean, modern, and elegant. And then she needs an invitation, an RSVP card with a map, an envelope design, a program for the wedding, a menu for what everyone's going to eat, and a place card for where people will sit, and then a thank you card once the whole event's over.
A lot of print
So
pieces.
lots of print pieces, yeah. And it's going to be really important that they all speak to each other and have like a very similar theme and they don't feel disconnected. So I went ahead and made these artboards and I just Googled like standard sizes for these things because I don't know how big a wedding program is, but there's lots of great resources out there. And Adobe Stock actually had some really useful templates that I just grabbed the sizing from. So we've got program menu, thank you card. Some of these have folded lines in the middle, like the place card and the thank you card, and then the invitation, the RSVP card, and our envelope. And then over here, we'll pretend that my fiance sent me this Pinterest board of her ideas that she was liking, and a lot of them are mountain themed. They have some cool graphic ones. There's a little map to show people where to get to the venue, some trees, pretty simple, clean designs, nothing like too cluttered. And then this is the venue. If anyone's ever been to New Hampshire or Mount Washington, this is the Mount Washington Hotel at Bretton Woods. And it is really a stunning, beautiful place. Christine, my fiance, and I love it here. I actually proposed to her here, so that's another reason why we're doing it. So this is the venue, and we need to start creating some designs. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to start with the invitation. That's going to be the thing people are going to get in the mail. That's going to like introduce the theme of your wedding to everybody, and then it's going to bleed out into all the other cards and stationery we have to make. So I was looking at all these inspiration images, and I really kind of gravitated towards this one, honestly, because it felt like it had this really cool graphic modern mountain theme, but it wasn't quite it wasn't like a hand sketch. It didn't have that kind of um like sketchy feel to it. It felt a little bit more like a modern graphic. And I was thinking maybe we could try to incorporate the actual um like mountain into this kind of graphic style. And so maybe that could like be at the bottom of the invitation. So like if I were to just kind of quickly mock it up here, like maybe we have like the mountain down here, something like this. And then we have all of our text up at the top telling people where to go. Kind of like this invitation, but we're going to take the style from this one and kind of bring that together.
Sounds great. Chat is really loving the venue reference. They're saying it looks very storybook, so they're very excited to see that incorporated.
Oh, that's great. It does feel like a storybook. It's pretty grand when you're there. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, all right. So let's see. I've got my base here, which has all my artboard names and things on it, and I've got my inspo, and now we're going to start creating our design. So in cartography, there's something called contour lines, which some people might be familiar with. It's basically on a like map, you can tell how steep something is by how the contour lines are, whether they're close together or whether they're far apart. And I'll show an example of this later, and I'm sure people will recognize it. But so what I thought was really cool about this design is it feels like contour lines, but they're kind of like they're coming at you rather than in like top down. I don't know about you, but I used to like draw when I was bored in class, like in high school, like on notebook, like the lines that overlap and it looks like it's going into the background, you know? So I thought maybe that would be kind of cool to do here.
yeah. So maybe they're more of artistic lines and not necessarily the contour lines, but for shading and perspective and
Right,
graphics.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think we could take some like artistic liberty. I don't want to make it like purely exactly this picture.
sure.
Um, so I think I'm just gonna start with the background. So let's just do the like Mount Washington first, and I'm just gonna start tracing it and get some like nice smooth fluid lines, just like our reference image next to us.
Is pen tool one of your most used tools within Adobe Illustrator, or
Oh yeah,
okay?
I definitely frequent the pen tool.
I feel like it's a love, excuse me, a love-hate relationship, but you are definitely just chugging along with the smooth pen tool.
You know, it's funny how many people hate it. Like,
Yeah,
and it's not too scary, but I definitely see the like, you know, the fear.
but I
All
feel
right,
like
so
once you learn it, you can't be without it, you know?
yeah, like what would you use instead? Like I
Yeah,
can't you know, there's all these other great tools like the pencil and blob and things like that, but the pen tool's just like the go-to.
I agree.
Okay, so there's the background one. So then I want to also do this one's kind of prominent. So I'm just going to start like tracing the mountain shapes kind of. And I was thinking like I don't know about doing the actual hotel as beautiful as it is. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of windows.
Yeah.
So we might just do the mountains. And you might see that I'm going down to the bottom for each one, and that's because I have this kind of idea that they're going to overlap. So I want to make sure there's room here. So I've got the one in the background, this kind of middle one. I'm going to sort of fake one in the front. Like I know that the hill doesn't really look like this that much, but
Well,
like
you're the
kind
map expert, so I think you'll know best.
of we'll kind of follow that and then connect it. And then I want to get some in between here too. So like if I were to just kind of look at this, um, I kind of would imagine seeing like some lines that come up and then down over this side. And then I think this one's going to be hidden behind another. So we'll just bring it to the back. So I definitely recognize like, okay, this is kind of a little tedious, but I think it's going to look really cool.
No, it's already taking shape. Do you typically work on one layer or do you normally work on multiple layers just depending on the artwork?
It totally depends on like
Sure.
what I'm doing. I feel like I have a really bad habit of just doing everything on one layer just to get the ideas out and then later wasting time trying to like move it all around. Like I
Very
know
fair.
I should be better about that, but I'm like, who's got time for that? Like I'd rather just draw here.
Yeah.
Let's see. So this one, this this line I think is going to come down and then disappear behind this one. So that can sort of, let's see. We'll just bring that down to the bottom. And again, definitely taking some creative liberties here.
It's your wedding suite. You can do what you want.
And then my fiance goes, "What is this? This doesn't look like it at all."
She's like, where is this exactly?
Yeah, where is this? Okay, so I kind of trace some of this now, and I'm just gonna go ahead and copy it over to our invitation. And we're gonna shrink it down so that it matches the scale here. And then bring the whole thing kind of like that.
Nice.
Okay, so right now it's just line work, and I'm gonna apply a fill to this so that we can start to add that depth. And then we need to do a little bit of reorganizing because I was messy and just was drawing as I went. So let's see, this one, that one goes back. And I think I have one in the front here that's hidden.
And for
This
people who
one.
aren't seeing your keystrokes, what shortcut are you using to move these layers around?
Yeah, so this is on a Mac, it's command right and left bracket to
Cool.
basically go back and forth and move layers forward and backwards,
Beautiful.
which is just like so helpful. Without that, I would be sitting here trying to do it manually and it would take so long. And then just kind of tweaking some things now that I can see it. And I'm not really worried about if it goes outside the artboard because once we finalize this, um, I can always see what it looks like, what it'll print as by going view presentation mode. And
There
then I
it
get a
is.
super clean image of what the invitation is going to be. And that's another really big perk of using artboards is I can click on any one of these, and if I go to presentation mode, it'll show me what that artboard is going to look like. And when I hit print, they all like print out all at once. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Bear with me. I know it's kind of like bland and Christine's not liking where this is going yet. She's saying, "Oh my God, I should have just hired someone." But I think we can save it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some like intermediate lines in between so that it feels like the design has more depth to it. And I'm just going to do that by simply copying. So I'm going to hold the Alt key and drag, and it's going to make a new one. But because I did my do process and layered these correctly, I can go ahead and sort of like have fun and do it, and they'll all stay staggered. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reduce the line weight so that we have these like big sort of gestures and then these smaller gestures. And if we look back at our reference, these are all kind of the same line weight, which for this I think is really cool. But because our design is like such a big mountain, I want it to feel like it stands out a little bit. So I'm going to try to do, let's say, 4 lines in between each of the bigger ones. And I'm going to move them so that it kind of like starts to feel like there's a direction to it. So I want the mountains to feel like they are kind of coming down like this, like there's a ridge here. And as we mentioned, these are like the contour lines that just kind of gesture at that. So there's the ones in the back, and then I'll do this one here. And same thing, I want these to be a little bit smaller than the large ones. And we're going to bring those down. And then what's cool is at any point, if I bring it up, it'll hide what's behind it. So you could really start to create all kinds of stuff. You can see that, you've got the edge here. So there's no reason you couldn't just scale it. And it all starts to add that variation and like depth and all kinds of stuff into the design. We are definitely getting somewhere.
I
All
was going to
right.
ask you, in cartography, is there a rule of thumb for, like the line width or like defining, like, I don't know, a boundary line maybe versus one of the contour lines?
Yeah, there's usually, so at least with contour lines, you usually would have a thick one every 4 lines. So
Oh,
every fifth line is going to be thick. And that's like, it might be saying that, these are every 100 feet in vertical elevation is a thick line. And then the smaller ones would be 25 feet. That's kind of a
interesting.
general rule that you can imagine with USGS maps and things like that. But there's no rules in wedding cartography design.
None whatsoever.
All right, let's see. Get this one.
There's a lot of depth happening. This is looking awesome.
It's also just like kind of fun. Like I feel like I could doodle like this all day. Be like, yeah, all right,
Such a fun style.
thanks. And then this one I'm just going to scale out a little bit. And actually I'll scale the one behind it too, just because I don't want these vertical edges like interrupting anywhere on the design.
Right.
And these we might even space out a little bit more just because it feels like it's closer to the viewer. All right. And so here's an example where I wasn't really paying attention. And so I'm just going to scale these off the artboard so that we don't have this like vertical drop.
It looks like you're scaling just horizontally. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yep. So I'm just grabbing this one handle here, and then I can change it just from the keeping the leftmost anchor point on the design. And what's nice about it is it, like I said, it sort of adds that variation. So even though all the scales are a little bit different on these, it starts to feel like there's some wiggle and some natural topography and depth happening.
That's hard in your job. You have to say topography and typography often, huh?
Yeah, don't mix up the topography and the typography. Okay, so I don't know. I think I'm like, this is kind of cool. I don't
Yeah,
like the black, but we'll change that later. Um, it feels very, very heavy. But so this is kind of where I'm just going to keep rolling with it. We started with the photo and we traced these kind of impressionistic contour lines, and then we copied them and made more, and it starts to add that rolling hill feeling into our design. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is fire up Adobe Color. If anyone's ever used this, it's like one of my favorite websites for this kind of stuff. And I really like going to Explore up here at the top. Make this bigger. So then I can just come in and search like anything related to, our design and see what comes up. So I could do like winter mountains. And then you get all these awesome color palettes that are, very reminiscent of kind of what we're looking at. You've got this one with the blues and like the sunset coming through. And I love when they give these reference images too, and it extracts the colors from it. So this is just like a super great tool to browse through colors and find ones you like. I'm actually really liking this one.
I love that one. The photo is beautiful too.
Yeah, it really is. And so this is a stock photo, which I could go get from Adobe stock too. Um, and so I'm kind of lazy. Like you could copy this into your Adobe library, which is probably the preferred technique. And you could also copy all these hex codes, but sometimes it's just nice to, oh no, it's going to make me sign in. Oh,
Oh no.
let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay, great.
So for everyone who's joining in, Evan McNaught is with us. He's a freelance cartographer and drone pilot, but today we have the honor of watching him design a wedding stationery suite. Chat is also really liking the design so far. They feel like the hills are rolling and they're loving all of the things that they're seeing.
Nice. Okay, great. That's good that we get that feedback. So, all right, I signed in, so I got it downloaded. I can close out now. And then I'm just going to drag the JPEG right into Illustrator and pull that off to the side. And now I've got my color palette. And so at this point, what I'll normally do is using the color palette tool, I just like to add all these so that I can reference them later. And so literally we'll click on it and just drag it in. Click on the next one, drag it in. And again, I know that there is like a preferred technique for this, but this is just how sometimes you do stuff,
It's a solid workflow nonetheless.
So now, yeah, now I've got the whole color palette right in here, and I can come back to my design, highlight all of them, make sure that I have the stroke selected, and then I want to go with like one of these lighter or dark blues. So let's try the light blue first. Okay, I actually really like that. And it might be cool too if we actually like gave the color or gave the invitation a little color too. So if we just make the whole background blue, and then the mountains should be white when we send this to the back. So I'm going to do Command Shift left bracket, and it'll push it all the way to the back without having to click on each one. And then,
oh, sorry. You have a quick question from the chat that's asking, what is a cartographer?
that's a great question. I didn't even explain it. A cartographer is somebody who creates maps. That is the simplest explanation I can think of. Any kind of map, whether it's online or a big poster like the one I have behind me here, that's what cartography is, the creation of maps. And it's, I mean, I could nerd out, but it's like one of the oldest forms of graphic design that's been, people have been creating maps for as long as they've been drawing. So it's kind of cool. I hope that answers it.
Yes, that's perfect.
All right, so now we've got some color going on and we need to start adding some text. The other thing we could do if we wanted to quickly see what the invitation would look like if we had color on the whole thing is we could apply it as a multiply over the entire thing. So this is like one of those menus that just keeps expanding, but it's so, so helpful to click on appearance, and then you can see all the properties of the shape you have selected. opacity, and then all the way down here to normal and multiply. And so now I'm seeing all of the colors and keeping that this light blue and seeing the dark blue strokes without having to lose the white, which is hiding all the layers behind it, if that makes sense. Just kind of a quick
Shortcut.
way to do it.
Yeah.
All right. At this point, I probably should make a new layer and call this like line work. And then we'll make a new one and call it text. So, what text goes on a wedding invitation? Well, I need names. Whose wedding is it? So in this case, we're going to pretend that this is my wedding. And my fiance is Christine Migliori. Oops. All right. Pretty basic. And we're just going to set that to center, and we're going to set the alignment type to center too. And then if I'm like, oh, there's so many lines on this whole artboard and I'm getting all these snaps, and how do I know when this thing is exactly centered? There is the super handy align tool. And because we set up all these artboards, we just hit center and then it snaps right to it. And now I can move it up and down holding shift, and I know that it's always centered. So we also need to say something about please, like, please join us, or what does this one says? Together with their families, together with their families, together with their parents. So I actually have my wedding invitation right here. This is, we did not design this, but it is a beautiful design from Minted. And this one says, please join us to celebrate the wedding of. So I kind of like that. We liked it when we picked it just because it feels like it just feels like more personal than like together with their family, I guess. But so please join us to celebrate the wedding of. Okay. And then for anyone who's like, what is this font? We're going to change it. So, okay, now we need a date. Sorry, I keep looking off because I'm like, what goes on a wedding invitation? So much. It's like not a lot of info, but it is important info. So we will say, let's say it's like Saturday. Whoops. And this is a cool winter wedding. So we're going to go December, I don't know, 5th, 2024. Then we need a time at 4 p.m. And we'll do Mount Washington Hotel. I don't know the address off the top of my head, so we're just going to say like New Hampshire.
555 New Hampshire.
Yeah, exactly. We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, New
Perfect.
Hampshire. Or 1, 2, 3, 4 road.
There you go. It's so official now.
All right. And then I think the last thing, whoops. And then I'm just like holding Alt constantly just to be very quick about things. So instead of drawing a new text box each time, I'm always just copying things I've already brought in into the artboard just to make it go really quick. So I'll move it down, and then I'm going to write reception to follow. Cool. Okay, so this looks so boring and bland. So we need to go find some like nice fonts that make it feel elegant and really really like, you know, exciting and bold. So what I've noticed, and Emily, you're probably an expert on this more than I am, is that most of these wedding suites have two fonts. They have like a nice serif font that feels very official, and then they have a script font for like all the in-between wording. So I was thinking that's what we were going to do. I don't know if you have like a professional opinion on that or
No, I think those sound like some strong type pairings. I think that sounds great.
okay, cool. So I'm going to start with our names. And I'm going to look for a font that's perfect. And instead of scrolling all day while everybody watches, I'm just going to use the super handy filter and I'm going to go click on serif. And now all the fonts that come up are in that family that I'm looking for. So I always kind of like Baskerville. I feel like that's pretty clean.
Very classic.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think I've talked about this font before on a stream that this Ivy Presto, this is like one of my favorites, but whenever I refer to it in my mind, I'm always looking for the Ivy Pesto font.
You get hungry?
I do. I want pizza or like some pasta or something. So let's just go with Baskerville for now because it comes with all the different like bold and semi-bold.
A lot of weights to it.
Yeah. And then for the please join us and all that stuff, I want something that's like a little bit more script. So we'll turn off that filter and turn on the script. And if I needed even more, I could always click on find more and have the entire suite of Adobe fonts um, right there. And so then you end up scrolling for hours and hours and trying to pick the right font. So we'll just stick with what I have installed for the moment, which it's not a bunch, but I think we'll get the idea.
I feel
Um,
like I always have the least amount of script ones installed, and I always think I need to find one, the one that I'll go to all the time, and I never find it.
right? It's
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like I'm always like, you always work in the center of the screen and then you go to pick the font and then the font thing covers up what you're trying to find. So I
You gotta
feel
scooch
like,
it around.
yeah, you're always like moving it around.
Yeah.
Let's see. This one's nice. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but I like the look of it. So we're going to go with that for our script font.
Looks good.
And then I think all of this stuff should all be the same font.
I don't think I knew that eyedropper could do type styling.
Yep,
Wow.
that one's pretty nice. And actually,
Yeah.
I made it even more complicated than it needs to be on that time. I get confused like with InDesign, you have to highlight each of
Right.
the letters, but in Illustrator, you can just click on it and
And it'll
then
sample.
sample it and it puts it to the correct to this one.
Yeah, I didn't know that you could drag it the way that you were doing it. That's very InDesign-esque.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right. And then this one, I think that should also say reception to follow.
Chat has a good suggestion, and I was wondering this as well. For the glyph panel for this script typeface, do you know if there's any glyph alternates in there?
We just have plain.
Okay, well here, let's see. If you highlight, say like highlight the letter P, and then go to your type panel, it should show your glyphs. So on the
Uh,
very top panel, where it's like
uh,
file, edit,
oh, okay. Yep.
yeah,
File.
and then go down to
Oh,
glyphs.
glyphs.
Let's
Oh,
see.
cool.
Yeah, the
I
secret
never
panel.
use this.
So some fonts have a lot of glyphs and some don't. This one doesn't seem like it has a lot of alternates. Like it'll be like a really, oh, actually, as you're going, there might be more. Like really swashy letters or just different ornaments that you could find. So if you ever want that for a script font, usually there's a good list in there.
Wow, that is such a good suggestion. I had no idea that this was like, because like I'm always looking for, like wingdings when you need like a
Yeah,
little, like a phone or something.
ornament. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm always trying to figure out how to get it to make those, and this is definitely the easier way.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure if there's
I'm not
any. Yeah,
I'm not seeing a ton of like fancy peas on here. It's funny that there's an apple though.
perfect. That's what we needed.
You can,
Please join us.
yeah. All right, well, we
Yeah,
didn't find one that time, but
it's good
that's
to
a
look.
great, yeah. So let's see. I think I'm gonna make I'm gonna make all the names capital. And I feel like the way I'm always doing this is just all caps.
Nice.
And that way I don't have to think about like going back and retyping it. And I got the wheel of death. Oh no, come on. There we go. Whew.
This might be a good time to save our file if you don't have autosave on or if you haven't saved yet, just to make sure.
Yes, let's do that. Save.
Yeah, 30 minutes into the stream is always a good time to start saving.
All right, so we're gonna set the color of these to that dark blue. And then I actually think like I don't like how purple the background is right now. So I'm just gonna brighten the whole thing up. That feels a little bit better.
I missed the chat, but Christine says she loves it.
Oh, is Christine in the chat?
She's in the chat herself.
Oh, good. Whew, that's great. If she likes it, then I already won for the day.
And you spelled her name correctly, so that's great. Everything's looking good.
The computer doesn't know it, but yeah. All right. So we've got this and we could totally come back and like keep finessing this kind of stuff. I feel like it's still a little plain, but I don't want to spend all the stream just on the invitation because we have so much more to do. So let's keep going. Let's call this a good draft. And then we're going to move on to our RSVP card, which will come with it.
Perfect.
And so I'm going to copy over our color block here so that all the cards have the same color. And then I recently started using graphic styles. Have you ever used that before?
No, I don't think so.
It's so cool. It's like everything that you create, you can assign a style to. So you could like say all of these cards had the same color, right? But then I go and show Christine, and she's like, I don't really like this blue color. Well, then you'd have to go and select each one. And like, it's not that hard when it's just 7, but if you have, I don't know, 100 variations of something, it could be really time consuming. So you just select like this block, and then you can add it here as a style. And so now that blue comes up as a style, which I can then assign to all these. And so I know it's assigned by if I click on it and this is highlighted.
Wow.
And then if I change one, like say I go dark blue, I can just drag it right here and it updates all the others.
No way.
And so you can literally like it has saved me so much time recently rather
Yeah.
than having to do it all at once.
I'm trying to let that sink in. I'm like, that's like master pages almost. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So then like, okay, so this one changed back. So then I just click on this and it puts it back to that style.
Chat is loving graphic styles. Chat knew a lot that I didn't, apparently.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And they can get as complicated as you want too. Like if
Really?
since I mean, yeah, since this is a long stream, we have time.
Yeah.
If you go to your appearance panel, you can add as many things as you want to this. So if you want to create a new fill on top of the color, and like let's say it's a pattern, which I'm always using these basic graphic textures that come up in their own little panel here. You can click on these and it'll add all kinds of like fancy patterns over top of it. And so like let's say you like this one, which looks like donut sprinkles. Then all you need to do is go back to your styles and just drag this to update that. And then all these update too.
And now there's donuts everywhere. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm
Wow.
like, I seriously have been so obsessed with using this lately.
That's amazing. Yeah, this is going to be my workflow now. Chat is also
Cool.
equally excited. They said like paragraph and character styles, but different. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for showing us that. I'm gonna end the stream here. That was good. Just kidding.
That's it. Okay, thanks
That
for
was it.
joining
You
us on
liked
Adobe
it.
Live.
Cool. All right. Well, let's see. So we are working on the RSVP card then?
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
so I got a little distracted. We're going to do the RSVP card.
Amazing.
And on this one, Christine said RSVP card with a map. I'm like, oh,
Ooh.
okay. So I need a little map of how people are going to get to the venue.
Okay.
So there's a couple ways that I might go about doing this with like some professional mapping softwares, but because everybody on the stream might just want to learn how to make a map for their own wedding invitations, we're going to do this like super, super fun, simple, easy. So I'm literally going to go to Google Maps and I'm going to zoom out from Philly and go all the way up to the White Mountains in New Hampshire to Mount Washington. So here's Mount Washington. Um, here is the hotel that we're looking at, the Omni Mount Washington Resort. And so I just need a basic map that says, like, if people are coming from, Philly or Boston or Portland, Maine, or wherever like family is coming to this area, I want them to know once they get close, like, where is the resort? Where are they supposed to go? And some of the examples that we saw on Pinterest were very simple. Like you just have the road names, and then you've got this like nice little graphic of the venue. Um, this one, same kind of thing. It's like it just sort of orients the person coming as to where they're supposed to go. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to zoom out, or first we're going to click on the resort. So we get Google's little plus icon, collapse that panel. And then as far as we zoom out, we always know where that is in relation to all the surroundings. And Mount Washington is right here in the middle. And then I just want to make sure that people coming know the roads surrounding the venue. And in this case, because it's so mountainous, it's like really big, but normally it's not, it's a couple blocks maybe. So at this point, I'm just going to expand my window so I have a little bit more room to work. And real simple, I'm just going to take a screenshot of this and it saves it to my desktop. I can close out of Google, come back to our Illustrator file. And then, let's see. On my desktop, I'm going to drag the screenshot right into Illustrator. Super quick, easy way. And now I have a map in here, which we can, just like the previous workflow, we can trace over and make it look a lot nicer than Google's like green color here.
How do you
So,
decide? Oh, sorry.
oh yeah, no, go ahead.
How do you decide the scale when you're starting to build a map? Is it, what's the foundational areas around it? Or as you're working, how do you decide how detailed to make it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Like if because the world is so infinitely detailed, it's you have to make conscious decisions um to basically lie. Like you're kind of saying, you're omitting information that doesn't need to be told, right? So from this scale that we're working on, like we can see the roads and like there's all kinds of other stuff here, but we're just going to leave it off because it's not helpful and it would clutter up the design. And so if you're professionally like been hired to make a map, I think that's kind of one of the first questions, just like any design project, is like, what's the goal? If the goal is a hiking trail map, then like I want really detailed information of the topography so that you can tell where it's steep and where it's not, where rivers are, where is there a swamp, that kind of stuff. If it's a wedding venue map, I really just want the location and the roads and maybe Mount Washington so people can like use it as a reference.
Smart.
Um, that's kind of my best answer for that off the top of my head. Is just like totally based on what you're trying to illustrate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Okay, so this time I'm still working on the line work layer, but I don't want to lock that for now. So I'm just going to lock this image which is Command 2 or Control 2. And now this image can't be selected. It's totally locked. And so now I can just work right over top of it. So I'll get a simple black stroke. And again, because we're omitting so much info, we don't even really need to draw like the roads exactly. We can just kind of guesstimate it and it'll be good enough for anybody coming to the venue. So we'll start down here, which is the town of North Conway. And I'm going to just kind of rough in using our pen tool, rough in the road, which goes right past the resort and then over here. And like, I am totally missing the road in some cases. So, and I'm going to do the same thing for the one at the top for US Route 2. Fun little map fact. If you're driving and you see the icon that has like the 3 points at the top, that's a like United States federal road. And if you see the circle, that's a state road. And then obviously, if you have color, then it's an interstate.
Wow. Do you know then the difference between like a freeway and a highway? I still don't know the difference.
Ooh, that's a good question. Freeways, I think, are bigger than highways.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was the speed or yeah, who owned it necessarily, or if it was just language, like we just say it differently. I didn't know.
Like wherever you're from, if you call it one
Right.
thing.
Yeah, like pop or soda, freeway, highway. I don't know.
I think technically, like a freeway is like, 8 lanes or something like that. And a
Oh,
highway
okay.
might just be like 4 lanes.
Interesting. I know you're doing this pen tool really quickly, but I'm blown away by how accurate and smooth your lines are. You do this a lot, it seems.
I definitely, yeah. Well, it's funny because you like when you're a little kid, I feel like you trace stuff a lot to learn how to draw. And like that's still true. Like for the pen tool, there's no better way to get better at using it than tracing stuff.
Yeah.
You have to do it. Okay, so we've got pretty basic sort of roads around here. And then instead of the Google like map icon, we're gonna make a little heart because it's a wedding.
Love that.
And so it's actually funny. I was the other day, I was like, I needed to do this too. And I was like, how do you make a heart in Illustrator? And I know with like generative AI, you could just type heart nowadays, but
True.
um, I was like, how do you like, is there a technical way? And so what I figured out was that you take two circles, right? And you put them together like this and then merge them and then delete these 2 points and it looks real weird. And then you drag it down, you get a heart.
Wow. Okay, I haven't seen it that approach before.
I'm like, there's probably, like you said, there's probably a glyph or whatever for that, but
Just in case there's not, no, that's perfect. Someone asked me on a live stream one time, they're like, how do you design a heart? And they're like, every designer seems to do it differently. And I think they were right.
yeah, literally. I go from that like scratch, just start with nothing. And then I want something here for Mount Washington too. So we're gonna do like, actually, we'll use the pen tool for this too. We're just gonna do a little, whoops, I have the heart selected.
Chat is weighing in on our freeway highway discussion. And they're saying
What
all
it,
freeways are highways, but not every highway is a freeway, which is like all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are, or I don't even know if that was right. But and someone else thinks that it freeways run through cities and highways run between cities. I don't know.
ooh, that could be good too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's pretty easy, simple, done. Little mountain. All I did for this was literally like draw some jagged lines and then set the profile to this like standard arc so that it gets bigger as it goes up and down. And it just gives it a little bit more like interest and graphic um, like character, I would say, than like if you just did this.
Right. And it differentiates it from the road a little bit too, which is nice.
Right, which is a huge part about mapping is like making sure your line weights read differently. You don't want things to all be the same. So, and we are going to come in and actually change the style of the roads here too. And what I'll do is using that appearance panel again, is I'm going to add a new stroke on top of the black stroke. And you could make it white, and then you could just bring the stroke width down, and you'll get a line that is outlined.
Cool.
And actually, just like we did with the other one, or with the fills for the artboards, we can make this into a graphic style just by clicking on the shape and adding the plus sign. And then we can click on all our roads and then click that, and it does the same thing for all of them.
Wow.
So let's see, we need, how are we doing on time, Emily?
We're doing well. It's 11:20, so you have about 30, 40 minutes left.
All
I
right,
guess
cool.
30 is better, yeah.
Luckily, these are like the two most complicated ones, and the other ones are just going to go fast. So we need this to say 16 so people know. Oh, that's a fun. Oh, I'm still using the other font. For this one, I'm just going to go with like Helvetica, something like really, really simple.
Highway Gothic, maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's installed.
that would be good though. I don't think I have it.
I always tell those fun facts to my husband. I'm like, did you know the highway is Highway Gothic? He's like, wow, so cool.
There's a company that makes like all the street signs. I forget where they're out of. Like they are responsible for all the signs in the whole country.
That's so crazy.
And then this one is 302, which we should, recreate that little US route sign, but because I feel in a little bit of the time crunch, I'm just gonna say, all right, that's what we'll do for now. And
Oh,
then
stylized.
yeah, it's stylized. People get it. And now I need to get rid of this like reference map. So in order to unlock everything all at once is Command Alt 2. And now my reference map is editable again. And so I might want it for later, so I'm just going to pull it down here. Okay, so we might do something like this, and then I could embellish this more and write, actually, we should use the other font. Call this one Mount Washington.
So graphic styles only applies to graphics, right? Like you can't add in textiles or anything like that.
That's a good question.
I would assume, right?
It just came in with nothing. So what happens if you click this and then click that? Yeah, I think it's just looking at the color and it's
Yeah.
not reading anything about the text.
Huh.
I'm sure there is one for that though.
Yeah, maybe it's just under character or paragraph styles.
All right. So again, super quick. I'm like, we got this, and then RSVP card, we need to say something like, please Oh, and I found out you're supposed to write kindly.
Yep.
Please kindly RSVP.
I want to know who drafted the first wedding invitation and why the language has stayed the same because there's very formulaic, yeah, please kindly RSVP and in the yeah, with the presence of their families and there's just so much language around it.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And, inevitably people will still not RSVP, but um, say like by, let's see, November. Yeah.
Oh,
And then
Jack.
the,
Oh, sorry.
oh yeah, no, go for it.
Jack was answering our question that there are character and paragraph styles in Illustrator, but they're not as robust as InDesign. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jack.
InDesign's got like the really, really good ones.
Definitely.
Um, so then the other thing which you could add to an RSVP, on top of like your map and please kindly RSVP is a QR code, which a lot of people have been doing now. And I can't remember if there's a way to do it in Illustrator, but I know InDesign has a built-in QR code generator. Have you
No
ever used
way.
that?
No, I've been using the one on Adobe Express and really liking that, but I didn't know that InDesign had one.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's just see if we can get that real quick.
Chat has a question for you. What is the most exciting thing to do in cartography?
The most exciting thing to do. Um, I really love doing like topography maps. Like that's my thing. That's why I got so interested in it in the first place. If you go to my website and look at like some of the ones I've done of like trails, the PCT and the Appalachian Trail, those are the ones that really get me excited because they have so much detail and depth and things like that in them, and it just feels like you could reach in and touch it.
So cool. Did you ever have a topographic map, like growing up or anything?
My parents were both science teachers, so we had maps like
Wow.
all over the house. They like, it was like maps of different national parks and like US interstate maps on road trips and things like that. So I definitely grew up with that sort of surrounding. Um, so okay, yeah, we were gonna make some QR codes real quick. So let's see if I just go to we'll
Maybe
go
your
to
website for now? Oh yeah, or Behance.
oops.
Perfect.
Let's say we're going to use Behance and we'll just take behance.net and I copied that. So then I'm going to go to InDesign object generate QR code.
Cool.
And it asks for content. And you literally just paste your URL in there. And in 2 seconds, QR code.
No way. My mind is blown.
And so anybody on the stream, if you can like see this, you can try scanning it, see if it'll work. It should take you right to Behance. But then the best part about it is you can copy it, just like command control copy, and go right into Illustrator and paste it in, and it comes in as a vector file.
That's amazing. Hats off to
Yeah,
InDesign once again.
right. Which to be like to take it even one more step is you can go to your color palettes and click that dark blue color that we're using for our palette, and now we have it in here
That
with
looks
the
great.
right color. You just have to make sure to group it because I
Oh,
don't know
smart.
where it takes you. Like you can start moving these cubes around.
Bad idea.
No, you don't want to mess with it. You'll end up on some website you didn't mean to go
Yeah.
to.
Like I
So just
RSVP to something
group.
else.
Yeah, right. Group and then yeah, then you can scale it and like stick it wherever you want and say like
Awesome.
scan this QR code or whatever. All right. So we're getting there. These are like super basic, but if I had more time, I think we would like embellish it. But we're going for our first draft with Christine, and she's going to say, great, keep going. And then we'll put a little bit more time in and finalize them.
So you're getting all the copy and content in the right places, and that's a big part of designing a big
Right.
suite like this. Yeah.
Totally. So I want to go with this theme for the rest of these, but I actually want to use the real map, like the real topography. So right before the stream, I um, went online and downloaded contour lines of Mount Washington. So I'm going to make a new layer and drag those in. And we'll just lock those, call this contours. And so this is a PDF,
Okay.
but because Illustrator is the best program that Adobe makes, in my opinion, I can actually explode this and turn all of these into vectors. And so right now it's like really crazy. It's a lot of info. So the first thing I need to do is embed, but I always save first just in case it crashes on me.
It's a big file. There's a chance.
Yeah. So I'll embed it. And then all of these now are actual live lines. And all I need to do is just do a couple little ungroups and clipping masks and you can see it highlighting them. So release clipping mask. And I might need to do it one more time. PDFs, I feel like come in with all these different layers to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've got just the lines and I'll move those over and then just delete like all these boxes that it came with. So this is part of what like I get really excited about when I'm doing map design is looking at like this raw data of the mountain basically, and we'll make this a smaller stroke so we can see it. So what we're looking at, and it's pretty clear from here, is you can see where areas are flat and where areas are really, really steep, like as we get towards the top of the mountain. And you've got all of these like really bright yellow areas are almost cliff faces because all those lines are like stacking on top of each other.
So the closer they are, the less room. So it's like more direct, like level, I guess. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah,
Uh,
elevation,
elevation steep. Okay.
steep. Yeah, right. So like these lines, I think are maybe something like 25 or 50-foot contours. So every single line
Wow.
indicates 50 feet higher. And if they're closer together, then it means
It's
like the
more.
next 50 feet is very close to the one above it and
It's
so
vertical.
on. Right, exactly.
Wow.
So first thing I'm going to do is select all these and then, oh, I think there's actually a hidden box in here.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah, get
Secret
that out of
box.
there. Okay, so now I know that I have only the line selected because my stroke is saying it's all yellow. And so I'm going to go to our dark blue color, get all of these. Ah,
Not the fill.
not the fill. We want just the stroke. And then it's probably hard to see on here. So let's move it over to like our menu. Okay, that is really tough. Bear with me for 1 second. Just want to make sure it's easy to read. So what I want to do for this is there's some really cool designs I've seen online of people who will take these topographic maps and just extract the mountain out of it. And like, we don't need all of the contours for like all the surroundings. We just want this like cool graphic of what Mount Washington looks like. And previously to the latest Illustrator update, this would be like such a pain because I would be coming in here and I would select like these and then I'd have to like, okay, I want these two. And so I'd select these. Oh, but then I crossed these two lines. So now it deselected it. And it's like, what the heck? I just want this like shape. And so maybe you could start by deleting things out here and just keep going, but then inevitably you end up maybe deleting something you want. So this is like so basic in every other program, and Illustrator just added it. If I start selecting and then I just tap the E key, there's this little like brackets that come up on my cursor. I don't know if the stream can see that, but it basically means only things inside of my cursor are going to be selected.
Huh.
So when I draw this box now and I let go, it just selects the stuff inside of it, and it doesn't touch anything that is outside the box or intersecting the box.
So it's just selecting then completed paths that are in there, right? Because there's other ones that are outside of that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So only things that are fully inside the
Okay.
boundary.
Interesting.
And what's cool about that is now I'm like, okay, great. Now I can just make a copy of that. And you end up with some stray artifacts that are like little tiny lines that you should come in and delete.
It's a lot faster though than definitely the other approaches that I would have taken.
It is way
Yeah.
faster, and it has saved me a ton of time. Like this one's brand new. Like I literally had to update um like 2 days ago in order to get this.
Chat is their mind is being blown. Like this is amazing.
The things you learn along the way, you know?
Yeah. The tips and tricks. This looks awesome. This looks so cool.
So I don't think I even need this anymore. It's just like a whole bunch of data that's slowing down the computer. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
delete it, and we'll just keep Mount Washington. We'll put it to the correct color now, and then we're going to move it onto our menu.
And is that automatically grouped because you selected it all together, or did you need to group it again?
It's actually not grouped yet.
Okay.
And so these are all individual lines.
Whoa.
But one thing that I want to do before I group it is I want to bring in a little bit of this style
Okay.
by like having thick lines and thin lines. So right now I've got 0.5. So I think I'm actually going to bump some of these up to 0.75 and some of them down to 0.25. So first I'll just select all of it and go down. So now it's all 0.25. And then I'm going to select the outermost one and go up to 0.75.
Nice.
And then I think the inside, all the ones that are contained in that boundary will be 0.5. So I'll do every fifth line. So this one is going to be a 0.5. So you can kind of see what's starting to happen. And so to speed that process up, I'm just going to sample it and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up until I hit the top. So if I was doing this in like a mapping software, it would kind of do this for me. But
Okay.
again, I want to make sure everybody has accessibility to do these things if they want. So you could just very simply do it like this. And so now you've really got like the graphic like weight to it. It doesn't just feel like a bunch of lines, and it doesn't feel like it's too heavy. You kind of get that right mixture.
Right.
So at this point, I'm going to make sure I group that. And I'm going to use this like a pattern and a texture on all the other ones. So I was thinking like maybe for the envelope, it would be really cool to be the like if you open the envelope, the inside is going to be this contour pattern.
That's so cool.
So let's move that down. And I've kind of got this set up a little bit already. So like in my layers here on base, I think. Yeah, so this is like that back. I don't know, what am I trying to say?
The
It's like
lining of it.
it's the inside of the envelope.
Yeah.
Um, and what I want to do is make a mask so that I can scale the contour lines up and inside
Fill
that.
it.
Yeah. So I'm going to copy this right here, just command copy, and then I'm going to scale these up ahead of time. Then I'm just going to paste that, the inside of the envelope back where it came from, right on top. Bring it up to the contour lines and Command 7. And now I've got this as a mask. And I think these just need to be pulled to the front.
Are you talking about the flaps of the envelope
Yeah.
or the folds? Cool. Yes, that looks awesome.
Yeah. So okay, perfect. So you open your wedding invitation. This is the pattern that you have on the inside of the envelope. And you could do this, it could be anything, flowers. And if you want to print the envelope, then like it's pretty easy. All you need to do is just take the flaps and if you flip them around,
Make the square, like the flat unfolded version. Yep.
yeah, you'll get the unfolded version and you can print it on a piece of paper and then fold it back in, and then it'll look like what you've got here.
Awesome. Just to let you know, you have about 15 minutes left.
Okay, we gotta go.
Gotta get the menu ready.
Oh God. Okay, well, there's
We'll get
chicken
there.
and there's fish, and that's all you get. Oh, and there's a
Okay,
veggie
perfect.
option. So let's do, let's do the thank you card. We're gonna make the thank you card really simple. We're gonna put the graphic on here. And then when it's folded, when you open it up, this is what you'll see. And we're just gonna like take the text. Boy, what do you say? I don't know. Thank you for coming to our wedding.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for,
Celebrating with us? I don't know.
ooh, I like that. Thank you
Yeah.
for celebrating.
And then chat had a question for you. How did you change the stroke weight to multiple lines without selecting those lines first? And I believe you used the eyedropper tool, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and even when something's grouped, actually, you can still come in and do that. So I'm just going to sample the line that I want, like the thicker line, and then click on another one when holding Alt. So if I don't have Alt, it'll extract, and if you have Alt, it'll paint. So
Awesome.
holding Alt, you get that black one, and then you can sort of like paint them on.
This would probably be a good time to say as well that if you want to catch the replay of this, it will be on YouTube. So go back and watch it and see him do it in real time as well.
Man, 90 minutes goes by quick.
Right?
Let's see. Don't want to hyphenate. I don't know why hyphenate is on by default. I feel like it should be off
Yeah,
by default.
I agree.
So you could, right, thank you for celebrating with us. And then you could just, this will get cropped off when you print it. So like we went before, you can go presentation mode and see what the inside of the card will look like.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's just like a cool graphic. And you could even take that little heart from the map.
Oh, yeah, and put it on where the wedding was.
And so,
Love that.
yeah, so here's the top of the mountain. And I think if we're just looking at it like this, the resort is right here.
Chat is saying that this is making them all want to get married now. They're excited to design their wedding suite.
Oh, good. That's great. Okay, so then menu, I think for this one, we're going to use the same style, but we're going to sort of take the envelope approach. And we're going to bring the contour lines over. And let's see. Yeah, I think this needs to be in the front, and then we can make a mask out of it. And then I'll just double click to like go into the mask kind of, and then I can scale this whole thing up and make a cool texture out of it like before. And then click out of it and everything else out here gets hidden.
It's very clean workflow.
Yeah, it works pretty good. I feel like the only thing with the masks is like you can still click on the stuff outside, which starts to get a little bit complicated, especially when you're going quick like this and you're not locking layers and things.
Like a phantom
But
design. You're like, where'd this come from?
right, right. Okay, so this just says menu. And I feel like maybe this is a little bit heavy, so I'm gonna tone the whole thing back to like 50%.
Nice. Or you could even overlay like a white rectangle and just leave the pattern around the outside, maybe. But
Ooh,
I do like the full flood. I don't know.
that's good too, though. I like that actually. Let's do that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Do you think menu should be inside that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, and then maybe center it. Yeah, I think that looks great.
Good
Wow, I love
idea.
this map. What'd you
It's
say?
so it's so fun, right? It makes such a nice texture for everything. All right. Now I've totally lost my layer structure. I'm like, whatever.
We tried.
We tried. All right, what do you want? You get chicken, fish, beef, veggie.
Nice.
Oh, I'm off the page.
Just circle what it is that you want and then just send it.
Boom, done. Moving on.
You're fed.
Um, the place card, we're going to do the same kind of technique here as we had for the last one. And since this is folded, this way it'll look kind of cool, like because it'll be on the outside of the thing. So copy the names over.
Doing place cards is crazy. You think you know how your friends' names are spelled, and then you get to it and you're like, wait, is it? Is that how it is?
Oh my God, we actually had so many issues with that.
Or then you
Like,
find out that's not their real name, that's just their nickname. You're like, oh, I didn't know.
right? There's people I've known my whole life who have been calling one name, and it's like, oh yeah, their real name is something else. But I'm
Yeah,
like, wait, what? So I really like how quick this is going now. Now that we've done all this work up front, like if this is your card here and this gets folded in half, that's so clean and it just looks really nice. And it's really this Mount Washington contour theme is like I think it's working.
that's awesome.
I actually like it so much. I'm like, maybe I'd go back to this and rethink it because I feel like this one just has a little bit more like more character to it.
It's very unique shape. I think it's something that would have been hard to design on your own, to have Google do it, or not Google, but Maps do it. It's just awesome.
Totally. And this is one of those instances where like, okay, my artboards are maybe a little close together, or I should be technically masking this so that I don't get it over here. But we can just we'll just fake it for now.
That's cool.
Um, so for the program, I think the program should probably read like the menu. And I really like this idea of the white. So we're going to do something pretty similar. The only thing I want to do different is I want to show off the smooth tool. Have you ever used this?
Yeah.
This like blew my mind. Like contour lines have like okay, so if I jump into the pen tool, you can see how many anchor points there are. Like
Wow.
it's crazy and it really can bog down your computer. Um, so I know Illustrator has had for a long time this simplified tool, which like kind of works. Sometimes it doesn't work. But then they added this just recently, I think in the last beta or something, the smooth tool. And it just like it crushes it. It works so good. They should add Adobe, if you're listening, add a text box so that we can type in the parameters here instead of the slider. But the slider is pretty good. You just like 3% smooth, 4%, and you can go and it keeps the shape really, really
Wow.
accurate without like having the lines cross, which is great. And so I might do maybe like 9%, something like that. And so now I have literally the exact same pattern. But if I go to my pen tool now, you can see the number of points is like reduced by, at least 50%. So it's way easier on your computer and it starts to give you even more of that like abstracted feel.
It's nice to not have to use the individual smoother tool too, the one that's under pencil, because I feel like that one would, yeah, it would get crazy. This keeps it all grouped together, which is great.
Oh yeah, which is that
I think it's
let's
under
see.
the pencil tool. So
I
yeah,
never even used the pencil tool. Where is that?
it's under the square or under the shape builder. Yeah, right. One more down. Oh, we're almost there.
Oh yeah,
Hold
this
there, right?
one.
Uh-huh. And then smooth
Oh yeah,
tool.
yeah.
But that just does one line at a time. So I think that would have been crazy.
Right. Yeah, we'd be here all day if
Yeah,
we
and
had to smooth.
they would get out of whack too for sure. So the other one keeps them all together.
It just like does such a nice job. It looks so clean.
It's so much math all at one time. It's amazing.
All right, so let's bring this over. Command 7 for a quick mask. And then double click into the mask, and then I can scale things independently.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we should keep this one like way off to the side. And we'll do it kind of like this cool. It almost starts to feel like wood, like grain.
Yeah. Maps are so neat. I mean, I know you know that as a cartographer, but this is so awesome.
Okay, program. I got 8 minutes left. I think we're actually going to finish this thing.
I think you have a little less than that, probably around 3 minutes left.
Oh God. Okay, well
Surprise.
it goes arrival, ceremony, cocktail hour. And what do you do then? Then you go to the
Reception?
reception.
Dancing?
Yeah.
Wedding?
Oh, we'll throw like
Cake?
cake
Okay.
cutting,
Nice.
first dance,
Wow, you're giving them all the steps.
and I think that's it. Did I miss any?
No, I think that's it. Or send off, maybe?
Oh yeah. Well, I guess okay, then we'll put like party and then
Exclamation.
send off. And so then, like if you were better than me, you'd come in and you'd put times next to these things.
I didn't even do a program for our wedding. People just had to show up and figure out what was going to happen.
I don't think I'm going to do a program either. I feel like just let people roll with it, I guess.
Yeah, give them a vague outline. These things will happen at some point.
Yeah, like 4, 5, 5:30, 6, 7:30, 8, and 9.
Awesome. This looks so great. Do you want to give us a zoom out of everything so we can look at the whole
Yeah, let's
system?
back out. Let's turn off like all this stuff. I totally forgot about the like blue color at some point, but it kind of works. You could bring it in some other ways, but all right, Christine, there's your wedding invitation suite. We're done.
This has been such an awesome stream, Evan. Thank you so much for joining us. This work is amazing. Check out Evan's work on his website and over on Instagram as well. And then stick around for the next stream. There's going to be an Adobe Spotlight with Chris Porter, so don't miss out.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.